Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I have a new video for you guys, and this is actually a part 2 to the video that I had made a few months back already. The one where I explained how my daughter was diagnosed with her choledochal cyst. And ever since I made that video, I have gotten, I'm not gonna lie and say, so many people, because one, the condition is very rare, but I'm honestly surprised that I have had a few people reach out to me either here on YouTube or on Instagram ever since I posted that video, saying that they are going through the same experience, or their child was just diagnosed and they're reaching out for someone who's gone through the same thing. So yeah, I have gotten people reach out to me, and it amazes me that I just put that video out there in hopes that it would be for that, to help anyone going through the same situation. But I didn't really expect it to happen, and it did. And I know in that video I said that I would make a part 2 to that video explaining all about her surgery. But honestly, like, that video in itself was really hard to make. I think I did end up crying in that video. And I don't want to cry. And the surgery itself was harder than any other part of her being diagnosed, any other hospital visits. Surgery and the recovery were the hardest. Emotionally, everything. It was just so tough. So if I cried in that video, like, this one is just yeah. So that's why I had put it on hold. But like I said, I've had people reach out to me, and I want to put this out there. Even though not every story is the same, not everyone goes through the exact same situation, I still want to share my baby story and how it went for us. So yeah, I don't know how long this video will be. I'm pretty sure it will be pretty long, so I'll see if I split it into 2 more parts, just for the surgery itself. But yeah, I just want to get right into it, and I just want to make sure I bring something up. I have noticed that for me personally, the way that I not grieve, but the way I kind of cope with something traumatic, I've noticed that my brain kind of not shuts off, but my brain kind of forgets the details about the traumatic situation. So I don't know if that's my way of coping with something, but I have noticed that happens. I remember the overall, but details, I don't. I forget them. I don't know if that's my brain's way of dealing with the situation, but that's just what I've noticed. So I actually wrote down, I have a whole page with notes that I wrote this down months ago, wanting to make this video for you guys, and I just hadn't. So if it really, honestly, if it weren't because I had written these things down, like, I don't really remember much. My brain just skips through the motions to get me through a tough situation. And yeah, so if I'm just kind of gonna be reading off of this, and then like explain what the parts that I do remember and stuff like that, because yeah, my detailed memory is pretty bad when it comes to this stuff. So yeah, let's just get started, because I think this is gonna be pretty long. So here we go. All right, so I don't remember exactly where I left off in the other video, but I just want to start off. Let's see, I think by October of last year was when we had our final appointment with her specialist, where he explained to me the size of her cyst and everything else. And in that appointment, he did tell me that surgery was going to be necessary. It wasn't urgent, but he did want it to be as soon as possible. That he wouldn't give me a deadline as to when he wanted it done, but he said to go through my schedule and my husband's schedule and see what week or what date worked for us. So he did tell us expected recovery time after surgery is 5 to 7 days. Okay, so I think I did mention this in the other video that my other two girls had missed so much school ever since we found out about Denise's condition, because all her appointments were all the way at UCLA. I don't have anybody else to be taking them to school. If it's not me, I don't really have much help. Um, so they had already missed so much school that I really, 5 to 7 days for a surgery, I didn't want them to miss that a whole week off school. So the plan that me and my husband came up with, once we knew we had to come up with a date for her surgery, was that we would do it during Thanksgiving break, because that way my girls wouldn't miss school. They'd have that whole week off. My husband was able to get the week off for Thanksgiving break as well. So it just worked. And I told him, it's the holidays. I want to be, Thanksgiving is a time to be thankful and grateful and spend it with family. But I'd rather miss Thanksgiving than the only other option would be Christmas break. So I'd rather miss Thanksgiving than miss Christmas with my kids. So that's what we had agreed on. We agreed that Thanksgiving break would be our best bet. So that I called her doctor, see if that worked with their schedule, and thankfully it did. So we were set that November 19th, 2018, on a Monday, would be her surgery date. So that's the way it worked. November 19th, we were set to be at the hospital at, I believe, 8 a.m. Or her surgery was scheduled at 8, but you have to be there like a whole hour before, and while they prep everything. I don't remember if they told me to be there an hour or two before, but point is, that day we left at 4 in the morning to the hospital, because like I said, we're in the Inland Empire area. UCLA all the way in LA, it would take us hour and a half with traffic, sometimes 2 hours. So that's what we did. And prepping up to that day, it was just, my mind I explained this in the other video too, my mind just kind of never thought about it. It just be in the back of my mind. Until that day came, like, I just wouldn't even think about it. Like, I don't know if anybody else is like this, but my brain just works crazy. So I remember that whole day, the night before her surgery on a Sunday, the Sunday before, my goal was to leave the house spotless. They don't have to worry about cleaning, whatever. Like deep cleaning. I went full on deep cleaning the whole entire house. And now looking back, it's not that I wanted to leave the house clean while I did, but it's just the way my mind kept me busy the hours leading up to her surgery day, that I was just cleaning nonstop. And I remember the night before, I was almost done cleaning. The only thing that was left to clean before I got in the shower so I can go to sleep already was the bathroom, the last bathroom, the girls' bathroom. So I remember cleaning their room. And before I go into more details, like, I do want to put this out there, that I've always considered myself to be like mentally strong. I don't consider myself to be, you hear about all these mental disorders and anxiety and depression and all this. I've always, thankfully, I've always considered myself to be very mentally strong. Not very hard. I am a crybaby in any situations that have nothing to do with me, movies, shows, I'll cry. But I consider myself to be mentally strong. But this situation just completely breaks you down. So I remember that I was cleaning the last bathroom, and I'm just like going, trying to finish everything. And that's the last thing I needed. I remember that I just needed to finish that up, and I was gonna hop in the shower and go to sleep. I think it was already like 2 in the morning, and I had my alarm for 4 in the morning. I'm telling you, I just did not want to go to sleep, because the truth of it was that once I woke up, that's the reality that was waiting for me. So I just didn't want to even go to sleep. So I remember I was almost done cleaning the bathroom, and I just out of nowhere. Okay, out of nowhere. This has never happened to me before. I just got a panic attack, an anxiety attack, panic attack. I don't know what you want to call it. I've never had any before, so I'm not too familiar. But I just, in the middle of cleaning, I just gasped for air, and I just bawled my eyes out. I was just crying nonstop, and I could not stop crying. It's just I could not stop for about, I want to say, like half an hour. I was just standing there in the middle of the bathroom while my girls and my husband are asleep, and I'm just gasping for air, crying my eyes out. And after about like half an hour, I was able to get my shit together and breathe, just breathe. And I just finished up what I had to do and got in the shower, and just a long hot shower, just thinking. I was just dreading that day so bad. But yeah, like I said, I did get maybe like an hour of sleep at that, if that, just because, like I said, I didn't even want to go to sleep. I just knew I would wake up to that. So another thing I hadn't mentioned was that this whole time we had scheduled her surgery and stuff. I was thinking that on the day of her surgery, I was gonna have to be by myself at the hospital with my child going through surgery. Reason being that it was a Monday. I don't remember what was going on, but I understand people have lives. I'm not gonna expect my parents or anybody to just drop what they have to do, drop work or drop whatever to be there. Like, I understand that. So I was expecting to be there completely on my own. My husband has a complete phobia of hospitals. I don't know why. I think it's related to when he was smaller and he had epilepsy, so he would get epileptic seizures, and he'd have to be hospitalized as well. And I think that's where his fear of hospitals comes from. That's a whole other story, but it's just he has such a freaking phobia of hospitals that he cannot be in a hospital setting. He can't function. So, um, yeah, he said that he would just stay home instead with the girls, take care of them instead of being there during surgery. And to me, that just didn't make sense. I'm like, I don't care if you have a phobia, like, you don't have to be there with me. That's a whole other story. But he just said he'd stay home and take care of the girls the whole time. So this whole time, I was thinking I was gonna have to be completely by myself in the hospital with her, and that was just even more dreadful to even think about. But at the very last moment, my mother-in-law said that if I would go pick her up, she would go with me to the hospital and be there with me the entire time that Denise would have her surgery. So yeah, at 4 in the morning, I believe that's when I had my alarm or something like that. We woke up. My husband helped me pack our stuff into the truck, and I was on my way to pick up my mother-in-law. We rode together to the hospital, and if it was not for her being there for me, I don't know how I would have made it by myself. I don't. Um, but yeah, like I said, we had to be at the hospital. Her surgery was scheduled for 8 o'clock. I'm looking down because I'm looking at the notes. Um, I was able to be in there with her while they prepped her and stuff. They brought toys to her. She was playing for a while until it was time to put her under anesthesia. I was allowed in the room with her when they did that, and then the moment that she fell asleep, I was out the door. They sent me to the waiting area, and that's when it just hit me like, fuck, my kid is in the surgery. So they have a screen for you. They give you like a code, I think. I don't really remember. I think like a code. And you look for that code on the TV screen, and it tells you like if they're prepping them for surgery, if surgery already started, if they're already in the recovery. Like, it's updating you like what their status is. So I remember just staring at that screen like the whole time I was there. Her surgery was supposed to last 4 to 5 hours, and it did. The thing about her surgery, by the way, she had a cyst on her liver. But surgery isn't just for a choledochal cyst. It's not just removing that cyst and we're done. It's removing the cyst and rerouting their intestines. So there's more to it than just removing that cyst and that's it, we're done. No, they have to reroute their intestines, and it's a whole shebang. So, yeah, surgery did last about 4 to 5 hours. I like I said, I only slept about 1 hour, if that. So by the time that I had cried my eyes out for a while, and I had talked, me and my mother-in-law were talking, and I don't even remember when, at what point, I just knocked out. I fell asleep sitting down in the seat with my stroller in front of me, all my baby's things there. Yeah, mi amor. My bracelet. Yeah? Yeah. Say hi, guys. Hi, guys. This is the baby that I'm talking about. Yeah, making a video about you. It's baby. Yeah? It's precious. Okay, you can sit here, okay? Yeah, baby. Okay. So yeah, I don't even remember at what point I just knocked out because I was just so emotionally drained, so sleepy, so tired, so everything that I guess the doctor had already came in the room to tell me that she was out of surgery and everything was okay, but I was asleep when he came. So I guess he had come back another time, and then the second time was when they woke me up. He didn't want to wake me up the first time. The second time, he's like, I just want to let you know that, your baby's out of surgery. I was so embarrassed, but I just had gotten no sleep. I was so tired. So yeah, he just explained that everything had gone okay, but that the cyst was actually more, I don't know what the word would be, but kind of more like stuck in between her liver than it should be. So getting it out, removing it, was tougher than they had anticipated. So they touched more organs around than they should have, trying to remove it. So everything was probably going to be more inflamed because of that. There was more I don't know what, more interference with it than it should have been, because it was harder to remove the cyst than they expected it to be. So they did warn me that probably everything was going to be more inflamed and hard and longer to heal. We just didn't expect it to be this bad. So let's see. Okay, so after the surgery, they did remove her NG tube right away, and she was okay without it for a while. And then let's see, like I said, they had told me to expect to be in the hospital 5 to 7 days. That's normal standard recovery time for choledochal cyst surgery. Little did we know we were going to be in the hospital for 18 days. So it was just really, really tough. What? Okay, so yeah, like I was saying, she had way too much bile input or output. I mean, if anything, if they do have any bile, it should be clear. And bile is the liquid inside the stomach and all that crap. It's supposed to be clear, and her output was just green, like green, and it was so much of it that without the tube, she was just nonstop vomiting. So they had taken out the NG tube right away after surgery, thinking she should be fine. She wasn't. They had to put it back in. I don't remember on what days they tried taking it back out, and it just didn't work. They ended up taking it out and putting it back in, I think like a total of 3 times, because they wanted to see if she was okay without it, and she just wasn't. Like, she would just keep throwing up just green bile. So that was one thing. Another thing, let's see, they wouldn't let her eat at first because they need to just first see how the intestines are going to work, and her not even being able to keep that bile under control, like they knew she wouldn't be able to eat. So eating was out of the question, and it's just no progress was being made at all. Like day after day, it was just not happening. No improvement was being made, and they just didn't really know what to do, because it's just, there's nothing really that they could do. It's just a waiting game for her body to respond and start working properly again, and it just wasn't. So I think it was, I wrote it down here, around day 5, which was, I was expecting originally to be out by day 5 or 7, around there. And around day 5 is when they told me, you know what, like, we need to talk to you, and we need to tell you that we don't know how long, but get that out of your head that you're gonna be out of here in a day or two. Like, you're gonna be in here for a while longer. And that's when it just hit me, because the whole time we had the room to ourselves. We did have like another bed in there for another patient, but we had been by ourselves. And I think the day that they told me that was, it just so happened that it was the day that we got a patient in our room. Why's my nose so itchy? We had a little girl come into our room, and she was gonna be staying there. And I remember the little girl had Down syndrome, and she had, I think she had her tonsils removed. So it's not a very, like, bad surgery, or very like dangerous, or I don't know how to explain it, but just a simple surgery, right? Still, surgery is still scary, especially in her condition. It's scary. But I remember that the day that she came into her room, she had so much family with her. So much freaking family. The room was full. There I am with my baby by myself. And the doctors come in, and they give me the news that you're going to be here for a while. And we can't tell you when, but expect to be here for a few more days at minimum. And I remember I couldn't keep it together. I just lost my shit. I was crying, and the family's just staring at me, and I'm just feeling hopeless, helpless, lonely. Like, what do I do? I'm like 2 hours away from home. I understand that. That's the reason why I don't have my family here with me right now. But I just felt so alone at that point. And I remember that after the doctors went out, the little girl's grandma came over to me, and she asked me, what's wrong? Why are you crying? What did they tell you? Or, and I explained everything to her, and yeah, we were just crying together. She just hugged me. She wouldn't let go of me, and she's just crying with me. And she told me her story, what was going on with her family. And I think from what I remember, her daughter was the baby's mom, and she had just passed away. And it just made me realize, like, okay, I'm here in this situation that I do not like. A very hard situation, but it just put it into perspective that no matter how long it takes, I'm gonna be out, and I'm gonna be with my child. And here I am hearing her story that her daughter just passed away, left her baby behind, and it's just, at least I'm gonna be with my babies sooner or later, but I'm gonna be with them. So just kind of put it into perspective. But it's just, when you're in that moment, you think your situation is like the hardest thing to go through, and you just don't know what other people are going through. People have it so much worse. As bad as you think it is, there's other people that have it a lot worse. So yeah, that kind of just calmed me down, but it sucked. So let's see. The things that she had to be able to do to be out of the hospital: she needed to be able to keep her food down. She needed that bile output to be non-existent, to be able to be without the NG tube, and she needed to poop, because those were all signs that her intestines were functioning properly the way they should be. So yeah, day after day, it's just same thing. Nothing happened. They would come in and say, okay, has she gone to the restroom? Has she pooped? Has she eaten? They try to give her food. I don't remember at what day she threw it all up. So they're like, okay, that's not gonna happen. We need her to poop, and then we'll see. But it just day after day, same thing, no progress being made, no nothing, and you're just out of options. You can't, there's nothing you can do to help your child, you know, and that's the worst thing to go through. That you see them suffering and there's nothing you can do. So, they would give her, they gave her suppositories, and they gave her, what else did they give her? I don't remember what else they gave her, but they gave her a few things trying to get her to poop, and she just wouldn't. She just wouldn't. But I think it was, when was it? Day 11. Day 11 was it? Yeah. Day 11, they tried another suppository. They had already tried one or two, and it just didn't work. So they're like, okay, we're going to try it one more time, and if not, well, I don't know, we need to see what else we can do. So they did try another suppository, and I think that same day that they put it, like a few hours later, she pooped. And I am not kidding, I cried at the sight of that poop because I was just so excited. So freaking excited. And that was on day 11 days after surgery, that her body finally let out some poop. So at that point, I was so happy. I was like, dude, like, I am about to get out of this hospital now. Like, I was so excited. And yeah, little did I know that she still wouldn't be able to keep her food down. No, mommy. So we were still stuck in the hospital for another 7 days after that. But it was so bad that it got to the point where she would cry at the sight of the nurses or the doctors. Sometimes they weren't even coming in to even check her vitals, or they weren't coming in to do anything to her, just to talk to me. And just seeing them walk through that door, she was already crying because she was terrified already. She knew that they were there for her, and it just broke my heart. Every time they would come in, she's just already in tears instantly. So the only thing she enjoyed there, I remember, the only thing that would calm her down a little bit was they had a lady that would go around to the rooms to do music therapy. She had like little instruments, and she would sing to them and play instruments and let them play some. And I remember that's the only thing that she would enjoy doing, the only thing that would calm her down. Other than that, she was just crying or not happy. Another thing, she wouldn't want to walk. I don't remember, did I write that down? I did write that down. She didn't want to walk after surgery at all. They would tell me to make her walk because that would help her, you know, the flow, everything flow around in her intestines, and maybe that would help her poop. But she just didn't want to. And she had no strength. I would stand her up. Mind you, she's already, what was she, like a year and a half? She's been walking. She knows how to walk. It's not like she's a little baby. And she had no strength to even stand on her own at all. So they told me, you know, you need to force her to stand and try to walk. Because I would feel bad, and I would give in and just, okay, don't try. They're like, you know, you have to force her and make her, because if not, that's gonna help her. And I did write that down. She walked until day 14. So 2 weeks into surgery, she was just on the bed, being held, sitting down, laying down, but did not walk for 14 days. 2 weeks straight that her little legs just, they had no strength. So that was another thing. Day 14, she finally walked. And then let's see, it says here, day 16. Okay, hold on a minute. Day 16, she could still not keep her food down. Okay, so more than 2 weeks into being in the hospital, and she still was not able to keep any food down without throwing it back up. But I would tell the doctors too, like, she doesn't like this food. She doesn't like the hospital food. I would try to order her things that I know she likes, but she just didn't like the way they made it, the way the hospital prepared it. So she didn't really want to eat, and the little bit that she did eat, she would just throw it up. So we were stuck there as well. And then I remember it was, what was it, Friday, day 18 when we were discharged was on a Friday. I believe it was December 7th. I just remember it was a Friday for sure. And Daisy, my oldest, had a school Christmas performance on the following Tuesday. And when they had seen how long we were taking in the hospital, she was worried that I wasn't going to be able to make it to that Christmas performance because, well, I'm always there for everything, right? So I had promised her, don't worry, like, I'm going to be there. I don't know how, but I'm going to be there. And that was that following Tuesday already. And I kept telling the doctors, like, I need to be out by this weekend. It was like Thursday or Friday before we got discharged, and I would tell the doctors, like, I need to be gone by this weekend. Like, I don't know what's going on. Like, if I am not out by this weekend, like, I just felt like I was gonna just go crazy. Like, and that's what it leads back to what I was telling you guys. I've always thought I'm mentally strong and I can handle tough situations, but when you're in it, like, it just breaks you down completely. And being in this situation, I feel for the people, cancer patients, any patient who is hospitalized for such long periods of time, because being there, you have no privacy, you have nothing. It's just so hard to be there. It breaks you down. As strong as you think you are, that will just break you down. And I remember telling the doctors, like, if I am not out by this weekend, like, I feel like I'm gonna go, I'm crazy, like, I can't do this anymore. But at the same time, like, I'm not gonna risk my leaving, like, or being discharged, and my child is still not 100% healthy. So I was just stuck between, like, what am I gonna do? Hey, careful. So I remember on that Friday, day 18, doctor came in the morning and he talked to me and said, okay, look, I know you want to leave by this weekend. And she's not making much progress still. But then again, there is nothing much we can do anymore. It's just a waiting game until her body responds. So he's like, I'm going to give you the option. You can either wait this weekend or you can leave today. Like, mind you, she hadn't, I wrote that down here. That day, on that Friday that we were discharged, she hadn't kept any food down for not even 24 hours. Sit down right there. Stop going back and forth. Sit down right there. She hadn't kept any food down for not even 24 hours. She still hadn't pooped anymore after that. I think she had pooped just that time on day 11 and maybe like one more time. And she hadn't pooped since anymore. So, no food down for 24 hours. She hadn't pooped anymore. But there was no more bile output without her NG tube. She was able to control that. That was the only upside. But he said, it's just a waiting game. So they did ultrasounds, they did everything, they X-rays, and everything showed that it's working. It's just working slow. And so he gave me the option. You can go home